In Deuteronomy chapter 12, Moses instructed the children of Israel that when they were settled in the land, they were to identify the place that the Lord would choose, and there they would bring their tithes, their offerings, and sacrifice to the Lord. They were not to worship the Lord and sacrifice to the Lord on all the high hills and under all the green trees, as the pagans had done. Nevertheless, they could kill meat and eat it in all their villages, the clean and the unclean, as much as they like. But when they brought it as an offering to the Lord, they were to bring it to the particular place he would name. This requirement of worshipping in a particular place was set aside specifically by the Lord Jesus when he spoke to the woman at the well, saying, "The day is coming when not here or in Jerusalem will be the place where you worship God, but you must worship God in spirit and in truth." And so believers in the Lord Jesus worship God wherever two or three meet in his name, wherever that might be. Moses continues from verse 28 of chapter 12, "Observe and obey all these words which I command you, that it may go well with you and your children after you forever, when you do what is good and right in the sight of the Lord your God. When the Lord your God cuts off from before you the nations which you go in to dispossess, and you displace them and dwell in their land, take heed to yourself that you are not ensnared to follow them after they are destroyed from before you, and that you do not inquire after their gods, saying, How did these nations serve their gods? I also will do likewise. You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way, for every abomination to the Lord which he hates they have done to their gods, for they burn even their sons and daughters in the fire to their gods. Whatever I command you, be careful to observe it. You shall not add to it, nor take away from it." Chapter 13. If there arises among you a prophet, or a dreamer of dreams, and he gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes to pass, of which he spoke to you, saying, Let us go after other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God is testing you to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him, and keep his commandments and obey his voice. You shall serve him and hold fast to him. But that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken in order to turn you away from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you from the house of bondage, to entice you from the way in which the Lord your God commanded you to walk. So you shall put away the evil from your midst. If your brother, the son of your mother, your son or your daughter, the wife of your bosom, or your friend who is as your own soul, secretly entices you, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, neither you nor your fathers, of the gods of the people who were all around you, near to you or far off from you, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth, you shall not consent to him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pity him, nor shall you spare him or conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people. And you shall stone him with stones until he dies, because he sought to entice you away from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. So all Israel shall hear and fear, and not again do such wickedness as this among you. If you hear someone in one of your cities, which the Lord your God gives you to dwell in, saying, Corrupt men have gone out from among you and enticed the inhabitants of their city, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, then you shall inquire, search out, and ask diligently, and if it is indeed true and certain that such an abomination was committed among you, you shall surely strike the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying it, all that is in it, and its livestock, with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all its plunder into the middle of the street, and completely burn with fire the city and all its plunder for the Lord your God. It shall be a heap forever. It shall not be built again, so none of the accursed things shall remain in your hand, that the Lord may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show you mercy, have compassion on you, and multiplied you, just as he swore to your fathers, because you have listened to the voice of the Lord your God, to keep all his commandments, which I command you today, to do what is right in the eyes of the Lord your God. My name's Arthur, and I thank you for joining me as we share together these verses from the end of chapter 12 and chapter 13 of Deuteronomy. Moses has in this last section warned the children of Israel against following after the gods of the nations and turning aside from them. Not only are they not to follow the false gods, but they are not even to inquire how the false gods were worshipped, how the people sacrificed to their gods. Because one of the things that they did was that they sacrificed their children, which thing the Lord finds most abhorrent. He has provided the animals for the sacrifice, not our children, because he wants our children to be part of his kingdom. And he's made it pretty dramatic that even if it's your brother, your sister, your child, someone in your family, or whether it's a city in the nation that has turned aside after due investigation, then you need to take a strong stand against that turning away from God. And of course, the principle behind this is that if you do not take a strong stand, then you will be swept away with the judgment that God brings. In other words, if we judge ourselves, then we shall not be judged. But if we do not judge ourselves, then God will judge us, just as God judges the wicked. For God is not mocked. As you sow, so shall you reap. This sounds a bit shocking to us in our tolerant society where we seem to accept what everybody else does. There are two aspects of that, of course. Christians are generally not a majority in any nation or country, even so-called Christian countries. It's rarely a majority of the people who have a personal living relationship with Jesus Christ. Every person has to come to that personal relationship with God themselves. And many people just follow the form of religion and do not come to know God in that personal way themselves. God is a personal God, and Jesus' invitation is not to come and join the church. It is, come to me, all you who labour. Believe in me, and you will have everlasting life. Nevertheless, those who do have a living relationship with God through Jesus Christ love one another and fellowship together. In the Old Testament situation, this was the covenant and instruction God was making for the children of Israel. He was warning them that God would permit false prophets to arise, to test them. Some of these people would have very convincing stories to tell because they were dreamers of dreams. They could tell fantastic stories of things that they had seen. But when they turned you to worship other gods, then they were false, no matter how convincing they were. And you were not to follow them at all, but you were to resist them. And so it comes to us that we should turn away from the false prophet and not eat with such a person. As Paul reminds us, a little leaven leavens the whole lump. So as believers in the Lord Jesus, Paul says, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary to one another, so that you do not do the things that you wish. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. And those who are Christ's have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Flee idolatry.